Are there only two sides to reality, or is there sometimes a gray area? Are there sometimes aspects of reality that we overlook, that we miss? In this video, we're going to be going over the 4 sides of reality using 3 fast, simple examples. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand the 4 sides of reality and have a more clearer picture, not only of your own life and the world outside, but also of yourself, your inner world, your psyche, your soul, your mind. By the way, if you want to understand the deeper structure behind all of this, I put together a free guide called the Mind Mastery Blueprint. It'll help you understand how your decisions are actually formed. The link's in the description. Anyway, let's jump right into these 3 examples. The first one are the 2 opposites that we have. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at opposite qualities, because the mind, the human mind and psyche, it often interprets and perceives the world through opposites, through different qualities which we perceive and we categorize in our mind as belonging to the complete opposite category. So for example, we have light and dark, good and evil, stupid, genius, right and wrong. And I just have another example here from something that I actually experienced and figured out in my mind today, which is erratic and calm. So we have psychological opposites, and sometimes in different people, these words which categorize these opposites might be different. For example, somebody might say good and evil, somebody might say right and wrong, somebody might say bad and kind. There's all different words which mean the same thing, but they categorize the same opposites in somebody's mind. So what we're going to look at today is actually seeing how these opposites, which appear simple and like there's only two sides of reality, but really there's actually 4. And I'm going to break down each example for you and show you exactly those parts of reality that you're missing with all the different opposites which are created in your own mind. So jumping right into example 1, we have the opposite of stupid and genius. Now I've drawn the red negative under stupid because it's generally perceived as a negative or inferior quality in human societies. And most people don't want to be stupid. They don't attach the quality of being stupid to their personality and perceive it as a good thing. And the opposite of stupid, at least this is the opposite that came to my mind, is genius. You might have different words when you look at opposites in your own mind. So it could be like genius and idiot, or stupid and smart, something like that. So let's just look at this one for now. And I put the positive, the green positive, under genius because in most societies, being smart or being a genius is a positive quality that we want to attribute to ourselves. We don't want to be stupid and we want to be a genius. So what we're looking at here are the 2 opposites, and these are opposites in somebody's mind, opposites as perceived by consciousness. Without any humans, there is no good and bad, there is no stupid or genius, there is no light and dark, there is just whatever there is without human beings. There's no consciousness to perceive something and separate it into its opposites, into its psychological opposites. Meaning is required in order to have these psychological opposites. Animals are not thinking about stupid and genius and right or wrong, good and evil. They just are. They're just nature. And so humans are what create these opposites in reality. And what we're going to look at now is how when you create these opposites and when you perceive a quality such as stupid as only negative, you're missing an integral and an essential part of reality. So just a really quick test immediately to see if you have this same orientation in your own mind. Can you think of an example where being stupid is good? Can you think of an example where being a genius would be bad? If you can't, then let me unlock those 2 qualities for you. And this is where we get into, in depth psychology, what we call a quaternity. Bam! Now we have our quaternity. So before we only saw the negative side of being stupid. So this quadrant here was conscious. This was our conscious understanding and our conscious perception of the world. This quadrant down here. And we thought that being a genius was only good. And so this quadrant was also conscious. And these are the two sides of reality that we can see. These are the 2 sides of reality which are in our conscious mind, where we're consciously aware of them. Now we have these 2 other sides. So there's these 2 other parts of reality which at the moment we can't see. We can't think of an example where being stupid is good and an example where being a genius is bad. And so now we have this, now we have a problem. Now we have something that we can't see. But can we see through this quaternity? Is there something that does exist here? Or am I just not smart and I'm missing the point? No, the key here is that being stupid is both good and bad, and being a genius is both good and bad. And there's a positive and negative side of both qualities. And so just as a quick example, being stupid, what we're talking about here is the human mind. And in this video, I was going to try to do this video without going into depth psychology specifically and drawing the human mind, but I think it's necessary and I have to do it. So just give me 1 second, I'll draw it for you. Okay, here we have the most basic example and diagram of the human mind. So in the top half, we have the conscious mind, represented by CON. In the bottom half, we have the unconscious mind, represented by UNC. Now, the two parts that we're going to be talking about right now, which is super important for this example, are the persona and the shadow. So I'm looking at these two opposite qualities. We have genius and we have stupid. Genius is a positive quality, and we want to connect that to ourselves, to our personality. And in depth psychology, we refer to ourselves in our mind, or you inside your mind, me inside my mind. We refer to that as the ego. And so what you want to attach to your ego is all the positive qualities. And that's why we literally say in slang terms, in normal conversation, this person has such a big ego. And all that means is they attach only positive qualities to themselves, or they attach too many positive qualities to themselves. So now what we're actually looking at is we have two really cool things here. We have the quaternity and we have the mind. Now, what's actually going on here is that the quaternity shows us what's going on inside the mind. So because the ego wants to only attach positive qualities to itself, you and I, we don't want to say to ourselves, we're stupid, or I'm stupid, and other people are smart, but I'm stupid and I'm not a genius. We want to say that we're good. We want to say that we're smart. We want to say all the good qualities that are connected to our personality and to ourselves. And all the bad qualities we kind of don't want to look at. We don't want to consciously be aware of them. We don't want to describe ourselves as stupid or lazy or arrogant or any negative qualities that we perceive. And so what happens is those qualities that are positive are connected to the ego. And when the opposite quality of those positive qualities is disconnected from the ego and pushed away from it, that goes into what's called the shadow. And that's in your unconscious mind. So your conscious mind is where you are now in your mind and where you are in your mind when you're awake. Your unconscious mind is everything else. So it's where your dreams come from, your nightmares come from. It's where you have fantasies, so those daydreams that you have. It's where your memories are when you're not thinking of them. So right now you're watching this video, you're not thinking about all your memories, and where they are when you're not thinking about them is your unconscious mind. Your unconscious mind is simply everything that is your mind, which is just not your conscious mind. And so that's where these negative qualities that do exist within your mind go, and that's where they are when they're split off from consciousness, right? Because within everybody is this set of opposites of stupid and genius. Every single individual has a quality of their personality, which is stupid. We can all be stupid, and we can all be a genius. We can all have these moments and this part of our personality, which is genius in different ways. But what's going to happen in the development of your life is that the negative qualities are going to be split from consciousness, and they build up in what's called the shadow. And like we're looking at in this example, we only see the negative side of being stupid, and so we don't want any part of it. But the key here is that when you do have this split, what's going to end up happening is that the more you believe you're a genius and think you're a genius and think you're perfect, that's what happens here. This persona develops. And you're going to unconsciously be stupid. And the opposite is actually true, is that the more stupid you think you are, the more you're going to unconsciously be a genius. And so that's where we unlock these two other sides of reality, these two other quadrants in the quaternity, where being a genius and seeing the quality of genius in yourself is actually bad, and where being stupid and seeing the quality and attaching the quality of being stupid to yourself, to your ego consciousness, to your ego personality, is actually good. And just to give you a quick example, the most simple one is that when you perceive yourself as stupid, you're actually able to doubt and look at everything that you believe with a much more kind of critical lens. Because you're not thinking that you're smart, and you don't want to, you're going to attach yourself to ideas and beliefs which make you feel smart. However, when you're stupid, you're more willing, when you understand and you perceive yourself as stupid, you're more willing to let go of a belief or let go of an idea and critically assess it, analyze it, see if it's actually true. And so you're actually more able to find the truth. And so the opposite of that, which we're going to look at as the bad part of being a genius, is hubris or arrogance, right? Where you think you know everything, or you believe that you know everything, whatever you kind of associate to the positive side of being a genius. You know, if somebody, the place that I see it the most is when somebody is an expert in their field and they can't say, I don't know, right? So like, you know, I'm talking to you about depth psychology. If there was some answer that I actually didn't know, let's just say somebody asked me a question and I have no idea, and I know that I have no idea, right? And I think it's stupid or it's bad to just say, I don't know, you know, I've got no idea. Then what's going to happen is I'm going to try and come up with an answer and just basically bullshit. And you know, I'm going to look even more stupid because I'm saying things that are probably incorrect. And that's where you unlock this part of the quaternity here where, you know, I'm trying to look smart and to maintain this persona, this mask of being a genius and being only this positive quality. And in doing so, I'm actually living out the opposite quality unconsciously. You know, I think I'm being smart by giving you an answer, and then I'm actually giving you a really stupid answer. And so this happens all the time with experts. You know, if you ask someone who's a plumber for 20 years, you know, some question about plumbing and they don't know, and they just, you know, they just spit some waffle, then, you know, it's, you know, that's what's going to happen there. And so this is qualities of the human personality that we're looking at and your connection to them. And so, you know, if I say to you that, you know, I'm stupid, you might say, like, pat me on the back and say, Daniel, you're not stupid. Don't look down on yourself like that. But it's actually a good quality. It's actually got a positive side to it, right? It's not only negative. And it actually allows you to be a genius and to unlock genius because it allows you to think in ways that nobody else has thought before. You know, if we just simply look at what a genius is, human society and human consciousness has developed, you know, over the last thousands, millions of years to get to where it is right now. Like the second that you're watching this video and alive is the development, is like the level to where human society has developed. Now, there are ideas and thoughts and things that have never been discovered. And all a genius is somebody who thinks of an idea or discovers something that no other human in the history of existence has discovered. And so the only way to really do that is to think outside of you know, if you imagine this bubble as every piece of knowledge and every thought, every idea, every invention, every discovery that humans have ever made, you have to just find one thing outside of that and you're a genius. And in order to do that, you have to be stupid as, you know, as the society that you're in perceives. Like the society that you're in is most likely to perceive you as stupid when you're thinking down pathways and in different ways than everybody else around you, right? You know, I think of Steve Jobs' slogan for Apple, think different, right? The only way you're going to be able to come up with something crazy that's completely outside of the box is to think different. And in order to think different, you have to be stupid. You have to risk being stupid, right? And see the positive side of that. Risk being crazy. You know, some people say the opposite of genius is crazy. Risk being crazy, risk being wrong. That's you have to, in order to unlock this positive side. And to unlock the, you know, we already talked about unlocking the negative side of being a genius is, you know, when you don't know, just say you don't know. You know, it's it's a difficult thing to do because people think that, you know, saying I don't know makes you look stupid, but it actually makes you look smart because you actually don't know the answer to a question. And that's how you unlock the genius. When you admit to yourself that you don't know, boom, now you can go find the answer to that question, to that problem, whatever. And so this is just one example of the four sides of reality. I'll just quickly jump into the other two examples that I have here. So we have right and wrong, and, you know, we're taught from a young age that some things are right in the society that we're brought up in, some things are wrong. And so you have a positive connotation and a positive association to doing the right thing and a negative association to doing the wrong thing. And so these two opposites are what we're going to see in most people's minds as the opposites that they see in reality. And these two quadrants here are going to be the opposites that they miss, where doing the right thing is actually bad and doing the wrong thing is actually good. And the easiest way to explain this without getting to specific examples, which can get morally tedious to explain, is that you have to look at every situation as an individual situation, as a one of one. And so let's just say, the right thing to do is to always cross the road when the green pedestrian light, turns on. And the wrong thing to do is to cross the road when the red light's on. Okay. Now, what happens is when you go through life and you come across an individual situation where actually the right move, the right thing to do is here, where actually the right thing to do or the good thing to do is the wrong thing. Maybe someone fell over in the middle of the road when they were crossing and the red light's on and you have to cross the road to help them. And in that case, is it the right thing to do to wait for the thing to go green and let that person stay there injured? Right, there's actually it's not that simple as just right and wrong, good and bad in individual situations. And that's what your life is. Your life is a series of individual situations. Your life is a series of individual decisions. And so to perceive reality in only binary opposites, you're just always going to come across what's called a conflict of duty, where there's a conflict in your mind, right? Because you only see you're a good person who does the right thing. You're not a bad person who does the wrong thing. And then when there's a situation that requires you to do the bad thing in order to actually, be in the right or whatever, or the opposite, where actually doing the right thing is going to hurt someone or be bad in that situation, then you get confused and you get what's called a conflict in your mind, where in order to do the wrong thing, you have to bring this shadow quality up into consciousness. And also, in order to not do the right thing and actually lead to a bad situation, you're going to have to remove the persona. You're going to have to come back down to earth and realize that you're not perfect and you're not only these positive qualities, that these negative qualities do exist in you. And, it's actually a healing thing. The conflict itself causes what's called neurosis. When there's a conflict in your mind, the tension there, that tension is actually causing stress, guilt, shame, anxiety. Those are all, in depth psychology, what we call as neurosis. And the way through the neurosis is to unlock the four sides of reality. And unlocking the four sides of reality means unlocking the four sides of reality in yourself, in your own mind, in your own consciousness. When you do that, you unlock the world outside, it becomes clear. You don't only see, the sun and the darkness of the ground and those two things as good or bad. You see the good in the ground and you see the bad in the light. And that's actually how you see all sides of reality. A kind of another analogy for this is one I really like, which is like if you look at a tree and it's clean and beautiful above the ground, but underneath is the dirty roots and all this dirty, nasty stuff, worms and decaying organic matter and all this yuck stuff underneath the ground. But actually the tree above the ground has this dark and evil side to it, where it's stealing the sunlight from all the trees underneath it, all the plants underneath it. It's stealing the organic matter from all the plants underneath it. It's killing everything around it, right? In the competition in the environment. And the other side of it is that the roots are actually this beautiful, life-giving, sustaining thing, which breaks down the dross and everything that's rotting and organic in the earth, and creates food for the plants around it and also for the animals to then eat the plants. So it's this four sides of reality are what exists. And when you only perceive reality from two dimensions or two opposites, you're just 100% going to come across these two parts of reality. Eventually, in some situation, in yourself, you're going to have to find your way through this conflict. And it's just because you're missing two essential and integral parts of reality. And also these two parts in yourself. And so the last example is just erratic and calm. And so I was literally just walking back from the gym today and I saw a guy just moving so crazy, like just jumping everywhere on the pathway I was walking on, and I kind of didn't want to have to walk past him. And so I was thinking to myself, man, what's going through this guy's mind that he's just jumping around so crazy? And so I instantly kind of picked up this quaternity in my mind. I caught myself thinking down that line because I can immediately break it up into the opposite qualities. I have no idea what's going inside his mind. Maybe he's actually completely calm. And so this is where we bring out the quaternity, where I thought what's going on inside his mind, because he's so erratic, was something bad. And, if he was just standing there calm, then I thought, what's going through his mind is something good. And so those are the two opposites that were in my mind when I first saw the guy. And then I thought to myself, maybe the situation is something completely unique. Maybe he's actually totally chill and there's like nothing going through his mind. Maybe he's got Tourette's, or he's, there's some other reason why, he's jumping around and his mind is just totally chill. Like he's just completely relaxed and there's nothing going on, right? And so that's just a quick quaternity that I just unlocked on the fly. And when you see the four sides of reality, you're going to notice yourself thinking in the two opposites that reality is perceived. This person's dirty, this person's this person's that, and I am not that thing. Or you might think to yourself, oh, I'm so stupid, oh, I'm so bad, I'm so this. Or maybe you think to yourself, oh, I'm so good, I look so good today, or whatever it is. And, when you catch yourself thinking in these opposites, you can just quickly look for the positive in what you perceive as the negative in what you perceive as the positive. And if you can work your way through it and find it, then you're able to see all of reality. And I always like to use this analogy as well. So this line represents the truth. And this line represents where you're standing when you're looking at reality from a binary or an opposite perspective, where there's only two sides of reality. And so what happens is when you're existing like I was when I was looking at that guy from the binary side of reality, I'm existing and I'm perceiving the world through a lens, and I'm seeing some of the world, some of reality I'm seeing correctly. If somebody is erratic in their mind, they're going to be erratic in their movements, and maybe that's a bad thing. Maybe I should avoid that. The other side of it is, maybe someone's erratic in their movements and totally calm in their mind. And that's when we unlock these four sides of reality. It's like we're standing on concrete. It's like we're standing on solid ground, because we're seeing the world for all that it could be. And then we can actually see the world for all that it is. And we're standing on the truth. This ground represents the truth. And when you're only seeing reality through the two opposites or the two qualities, then you're standing on something that's a lot more flimsy. Maybe you're standing on toilet paper, or you look down, when you look at these two opposites and you realize, or you come across one of these situations where, that world's view, that perception of reality doesn't include something. And so you come across this weird thing, the way, one of these examples here, where you didn't see it. You didn't even think that could be possible. And now you have to oh shit, I'm standing on tissue paper. I'm not actually at the truth in myself or in the world, because my previous worldview was lacking something in order for me to get to this problem. And so when you do unlock these quaternities, both in your mind and in the outside world, then you are able to, stand on more stable ground. And in depth psychology, we call this stability of the personality. When you unlock more parts of your personality and your mind, you reach more stability. So what's happening is every time you unlock the negative side of something positive and the positive side of something negative, you're bringing these two qualities into relation with your ego. So you inside your conscious mind, you're able to see both, and they're both in your conscious mind, rather than one being unconscious and one being too conscious. And so when you're in that place of balance, you're not only seeing the outside world more clearly, you're seeing the inside world more clearly. And this brings stability to your personality. This makes you more adaptable in the world. It makes you better at navigating decisions and better at navigating situations, both situations in the outside world and situations in the inner world. And that's why you're more stable. That's simply it. That's what wholeness of the personality achieves, is stability. And that's why this circle represents the self. And the self wants your mind to develop and expand. And that just means that it wants these unconscious qualities to become conscious. And the reason that it wants that is because that leads to stability. Stability of the personality and stability of the mind. So that's it for this video. If you like this video, I'm posting new videos every single day, so click subscribe. And like I mentioned before, I've put together that free mind mastery blueprint, which goes much deeper into the parts of your mind. It only takes 5 minutes to read. It's super simple and super valuable. And the link will be in the description and the pinned comments. So definitely grab that if you're interested. And other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.